Hello, welcome to Duskers. Today I'm going to be playing a new game, and I will walk through the game very methodically, explaining each move before I make it, taking the safest options whenever possible. Doing this in the hope that you will find it a very relaxing and soothing experience, and it might even help you drift off to sleep. So I'm going to skip going through any training, go right into the game with minimal explanation of what the game is about. But if you've never played Duskers, it's a exploration game, and it takes place in space, where you go from derelict ship to derelict ship, looking for information, clues as to what has occurred, some sort of galactic or even universal level calamity. So, without any other description, we'll just begin playing. I will not initiate an emergency distress sequence. I do not know whether that is a good decision or not, but it's a decision I have chosen to make. Similarly, I will not access the log now because it's just backstory to the game, and it's not really important to this process. Okay, so here we are in the system. We are in the Iron system. Our ship is called the Justice Rider, and we are able to board a derelict vessel called the Miriam Makeba. Oh, I know who that is. Bonus points to anyone who knows who Miriam Makeba is. So we are looking at the system view. I can also toggle to the galaxy view and the universe view, for which there currently is no data. So our ship is the Justice Rider. It has a capacity of 25 pieces of scrap. Now, scrap is like the currency of the game. You can use it to upgrade, repair, and even trade with automated trading posts. The propulsion indicates how many items, how many objects in this sector, this system, you are able to move to. That means that I can move on this system map 6 times before I'm out of fuel. I have 2 jumps. The jumps are for the galaxy level, which means I could jump to either the E or G on this screen. So the game allows me to configure my drones and to configure my ship. Let's just quickly take a look at the drone view. I have 3 drones, in this case Ethan, Twiki, and Kelly. Usually the game starts out set up fairly well. I have never had any need to change the initial settings. I know some people might. With Ethan, the first drone, having the highest number of damage points or hit points. And that drone also has the gather upgrade, which allows it to gather any scrap or fuel it finds when exploring the ships. And it has a motion detector, which is used to determine if there are infections, that is, hostile entities in adjacent rooms. Twiki, the second drone, has the generator upgrade, which allows it to power rooms and sections of the ship that you are exploring. And the third drone, in this case Kelly, has the tow upgrade, which allows it to pull non-functional drones and other objects, as well as the interface upgrade, which allows you to interface with ship computers when you find them and they are powered. So like I said, this is set up in a way that I find useful. I have no reason to change it. So let's go back, and we'll just quickly look at the ship configuration. There's really nothing I can do now. I have no upgrades to add into the ship's upgrade slots. I have 2. Now, as we explore, it's possible that I will find a better ship, and I will commandeer that ship. That would mean it has more upgrade slots and or more capacity to hold scrap. But I want to bear in mind that a lot of ships are not particularly stable. So let's quickly take a look at the Miriam Makeba, which is a government type C ship. It has 0 infestations, which is great, nothing to worry about. And it is only 21 years old, which means it's a very stable ship. It's not falling apart. So it would be an option to commandeer this ship. However, the scrap capacity is only 48, which would reduce our overall scrap capacity. So let's go ahead and board. Like I said, the loadout looks fine to get started. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. Now, we are accessing that ship, the Miriam Makeba. We're accessing its database, and sometimes we'll have parts of the story here. In this case, we don't. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. Now we're looking at the schematic view, and I can toggle between the schematic view, which shows me kind of a map of what's going on, and now I'm going to toggle to the remote view, and so there'll be additional noise, and I will be viewing things directly above whatever drone is active. So here we go. Now we'll go to the remote view. Okay, so as you can see, I'm now positioned above drone 1, Ethan. I'm going to type in the commands to open the airlock door, and I'm going to pilot Ethan remotely into the derelict ship. Immediately I see there is some scrap available, and I have a generator here. So I also see there is an open door. I'm going to go back to the schematic view. So it seems that I'm only able to access rooms 2 and 3 at this time, and if powered, I assume I will be able to open those doors D3 and D2. So to accomplish that, I will navigate drone 2 into the room 2 and activate its generator function. Okay, so now I have powered rooms 4 and 5, and all of the doors are powered. While I have drone 1 in here, I'm going to go ahead and hit and ask it to do the gather. So I'll do one, oh, there we go, 1, and I'll say gather. Okay, now I'll go back to the schematic view. I will navigate 1 into room 3. And there is a drone here, so I will ask for information on what's in that room. I'll do info for 1. So this is a drone called Tommy. It's destroyed. I will not be able to tow this drone. I can only tow drones that are disabled, not destroyed. So I can swap with that drone, however, and that is if it has any interesting upgrades, I can take those, and it does actually have some interesting upgrades. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Pry upgrade, put that on Ethan, and I will bring the Kaylee drone 3, into this room to take the other, I believe, scan. So let me just go ahead and focus on that. Do R3. Okay, so drone 3 is now moving into room 3, and then I will ask for the swap feature, and I will, oh, this is still swapping with the first drone. So let me go ahead and switch to the schematic view, or I'm sorry, to the remote view, and we'll try swap again. Okay, and now Kelly will take the scan upgrade. Great. Alright, I'm going to return Kelly to the dropship. So, navigate 3 to R1. In the meantime, I can open door 2, and I can navigate drone 1 to R5. Now, because I know there is no infestation on the ship, this is safe to do. Otherwise, I would have to be much more careful. We'll go ahead and gather the scrap we find here, and we'll open door 5, and we will navigate drone 1 to room 4. And again, we found some scrap. We'll gather that. And we'll open door 3. And at this point, we can navigate drone 1 into R1. And we can navigate, yes, we can actually use some shortcuts in this game. We can create aliases and use aliases, but I'm just going to go ahead and, while time is not an issue, I'm just going to go ahead and put in the commands individually. Okay, and once all of our drones are in the dropship, I'm going to go ahead and close the airlock door and use the exit command to leave that ship. So we'll get a little bit of information. We were able to find some new upgrades for our drones, and we collected 3 scrap. Alright. So before we continue, I'm going to go ahead into the drone configuration, and I will consider whether or not to reallocate the upgrades. I definitely do want to remove the pry from Ethan. Ethan needs to have an open slot for just that purpose of finding and swapping with drones. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we can actually move this scan upgrade from Kelly to, let's move that over to Twiggy. Scan just lets you do a deeper search of the room you're in, because sometimes there will be items in the room even though you don't see them immediately. So the scan will reveal those items. I believe it has other functions as well, and I will look into those. And you'll see in the bottom right corner, if you have your eyes open, that it actually tracks the number of missions that an upgrade has been used in, and each additional mission increases the failure probability. And in some cases, for example, the motion tracker has 50 uses. So every time you use it, it decreases the number of uses you have remaining. The upgrades can be repaired or reloaded or replenished using scrap. Okay. We'll go ahead back into our system view, and we will choose between, let's see, the Home of the Brave, a government ship with a single infestation and a scrap capacity of 65. That might be a useful ship to commandeer. Let's look at what else we have. The Batrachian is a salvage ship, and it only has a scrap capacity of 35. So probably not something we'd be interested in. And then finally, Barge B, which is called the Partu. Again, this has the same scrap capacity that we have. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Home of the Brave. If we can commandeer this ship, it would actually be very useful, assuming it has at least 2 slots. So we'll travel to that ship. We'll use our propulsion. So now we're down to 3 out of 6 propulsion. And we will board that ship. And again, our loadout is fine, so we'll go ahead and begin the boarding process. Okay, we have some information here, and we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So first thing we'll do is open the airlock. Now, the initial room that you arrive at, the room that the airlock connects to, will never have an infestation. Now that's by the settings of the game right now. So let's go ahead and move Ethan into the first room. And we'll switch back. So you can see also that the door 11 is open, and that means that whatever is in that room is also safe at this time. So we'll go ahead, switch back to the remote view, do a quick stroll. There's our power inlet. This looks like an access terminal, which we'll use to access information about the ship. And in D11, we just have a small room. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in our generator. So we'll navigate to R2, and we'll go ahead and tell that to do generator. Sometimes I like to position the ship myself, the drone myself, because you'll see that if you don't, the drone will simply get to the point where it can touch that outlet or inlet, and then it will stop. And then sometimes that can block other drones, but in this case it's fine, no problem. So we've powered a section of the ship, but you can see that there are doors leading into areas that are no longer are not visible. That means there are other sections of the ship that we can access. And since we have a drone that can interface with the ship using the interface upgrade, we'll go ahead and bring that one in. So navigate 3 to room 2, and we'll go ahead and interface. So in this case, the interface menu is giving us a number of options. We have a ship scan, which we'll go ahead and run now. We have defense, which will activate or deactivate any defensive turrets, which is great. It will destroy any infestations that are in the same room with it or that enter it, but it will also destroy any drones that enter the room with a defensive turret, which is why you only activate it and then deactivate it before moving forward. Survey is what surveys the ship to give you a sense of all of the room layouts, and this just brings us back to the list of options we have. Let's go ahead and start with a survey. So there are 3 additional rooms that we can't access because we don't have the power, the electricity to do so, which means that in one of the rooms, R4 or R5, there is likely another electrical inlet, or power inlet, I should say. And we'll go ahead and do the ship scan. So it looks like there is a derelict drone. It may or may not be something we can rescue from the ship. And there is a defensive turret. So what I want to do now is I want to use the motion tracker. Alright, so what this is telling us is that there is an infestation in room 5. There is potentially an infestation in room 4, but it's uncertain. And it also cannot give us a clear reading on room 3, but we know that it's not infested. So luckily for us, we have access to the defensive turret in room 5. So we will turn on the defense, and that has eliminated the infection. Now we're going to deactivate it, and we will go ahead and open the room door D8 to see if any hostile infestation moves from room 4 into room 5. Okay, we've given it a pretty good amount of time. I'm fairly confident that we don't have to worry about there being an infestation in room D4 at this time. So what I'm going to do is close that door, and I will move. I'm going to open the door to D5, and I will navigate the first drone with the gather capability into room R5. And there's some additional scrap. So we switched over to the remote view, and we'll go ahead and ask this drone to gather for us. And we'll use gather all just to gather everything that it sees. Okay. Now, I'm going to switch back to the schematic view. And again, just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close that door D5, and I will open door D8, and I will remote pilot that drone into this room. And yes, luckily we were correct. There is no infestation in this room. However, there is a drone, so let's see if we can tow it. It is destroyed, which means that to tow is not available, but we can swap with it. Okay, so this has some new and exciting, upgrades that we can swap. And the first one is Allure. So let's go ahead and take that. Well, yeah, go ahead and take that. And we'll remove Ethan from the room. So we'll bring Ethan back into room 5. Navigate drone 1 to R5. And we'll move Kelly into room 4 to swap with Ethan, or swap with the drone. Okay, so I've closed that door. So let's go ahead and open door D4, and after opening that, Kelly goes ahead and operates without me having to type further instructions. And now we'll do our swap. Okay, so let me pilot Kelly directly to that drone and swap. And we'll go ahead and take the probe. Now, if I understand correctly, the probe will do scans of rooms as a remote of the remote. So it's a way to safely scan rooms that might have hostile creatures if you can get the probe into them. Okay, so we'll return Kelly to room 2, so that if necessary we can reconnect the defense turret. Go ahead and close D4, the door. We'll go ahead and bring the drone 1, that's Ethan, into room 3. So we'll have to open door number 5. Navigate room 1 to room 3 to collect the scrap there. And then we'll bring Ethan back up, that's drone 1, and we'll use the motion detector again. Gather all. So we've got some scrap. Bring Ethan back to room 2. Just for the sake of it, we'll close door 1, and we'll close door 5, and we'll run our motion detector, and we'll close door 8 for now, and we'll open door 10 to see if any hostile gets flushed into that area, or I should say infection. Now, I believe there was only 1 infection on the ship, and I believe it's been taken care of, but just to be on the safe side, we'll do it this way. My guess is that there is a power input in room 6, so that we can power rooms 6, 7, and 8 in those doors, but we'll see. There will be one somewhere. Okay, we have no infestation entering into room 5 from room 6, so I will close door 10, and now I'll try the same with door 2 into room 7. Again, we're just checking to see if any infestation moves. And, well, there you go. I was wrong. It's possible to have one infestation type, but multiple rooms with infestation. So we're going to move Kelly back to the interface panel and have the interface. And we'll go ahead and turn on the defense again, which has eliminated the infestation. Turn it back off, and that leaves us with room 8. So what we're going to do in this case is we'll open up D2 one more time, because the door between room 7 and room 8 is open. So it's possible that if there is still an infestation that was wandering between those 2 rooms, it will be flushed into room 5 through the open door. Okay, that is probably enough time to move on. We'll go ahead and close D2. And what I'll do is I'm going to open door 3 and door 11. And I'm going to go ahead and navigate drone 1, Ethan, into room 6, and hope to find a power input there. Great. Okay. So, go ahead and move Ethan. Oh, that's Kelly. And I will move, we have to open doors that we want to have open. So, actually, it's actually entirely possible at this point to simply go in through through D10 into room 5 and then through either D7 or D2 into room 7 or room 8, because in this particular case we actually don't need to power any other part of the ship to access it. In some cases you do. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll open D2 and we'll navigate Ethan into those rooms. Oh, there's some more scrap we missed. Oh, it's part of the infected machinery, so let's go gather that. And we will go on and explore this room. Hopefully we'll find some fuel here. Okay, the fuel access point. Okay, we'll go ahead and gather all. Hopefully we'll get some fuel. We have some propulsion and a jump cell. That's great. So, gathering the remaining scrap, and now we'll go on into this room through the D6 door. Okay, so we'll gather this. Alright, we'll go back to our schematic view. Now, this again begs the question, shall we commandeer this ship? I believe that it is worth commandeering. However, I do not see any upgrade slots. I do not know whether upgrade slots have to be visible at this level. I know that you can sometimes see upgrade slots in the ship itself. I don't see any here, and I don't see any way to get into other parts of the ship. So I'm going to pass on commandeering this ship. What I'm going to do instead is just bring everyone back to the dropship. So let's see. I know that there is a shortcut, but I'm just going to do it this way. All right. So all the drones are now making their way back into the dropship. Slowly but surely. Okay, we'll close the airlock, and we'll return to the mothership. So we found one of each type of fuel for jumping, and for the galactic level jumping and the system level traveling. We found 9 pieces of scrap, which is great, and we found 2 new drone upgrades, also very good. Okay, so the question that we have here is, do we want to continue to explore the ships in this system, or do we want to go ahead and jump? And the thing about jumping is, when you jump, you replenish your propulsion to 6 out of 6. So there's no reason, if your propulsion allows it, there's no reason not to continue exploring unless you feel that the system you're in is too difficult. So let's go ahead and look at the modifications. So here is where I could, if I choose to, spend some scrap to upgrade my drones. So I could increase Ethan's speed, maximum hit points. If there was damage, I could repair. So for example, if that drone we found that was destroyed was not destroyed, but had simply been disabled, we could fully repair it here in the modifications area after dragging it back into the dropship. So at this time, I'm not going to spend scrap to make any improvements to my drones. I don't need to upgrade. I have used the motion detector twice, so I'm down to 48 uses, but that's fine. So I don't have any need to repair any aspect of my ship, so I am going to go ahead and leave this view. and I'm going to look at one of these other ships. So we've got, again, this barge, which might be something that has some scrap on it. Barges are used to transport, and we have this salvage ship, which to me seems much more likely to have some scrap because it is a salvage ship. So let's go ahead and travel to this one. Although, because this game is all about maximizing your resources, if we travel to this ship first, well, actually, we don't have to leave from the same point that we entered from. So if we came here, that would cost us 2 propulsion, and this one will also cost us 2. So let's go ahead and try this option first. We do not have to go back to the entrance point in order to leave the system. We can leave from any of the points. So we'll go ahead and travel. Okay, we're down to 1 propulsion, and we will board the ship. And we want to remove the lore upgrade from Ethan, drone 1, and we will also remove the probe from Kelly. And now those might be very useful for now, but at this time it's always nice to have some open slots so that you can do swaps. In this case we have 3 open slots. So we'll go ahead and board. Alright. No communications to read. We'll go ahead, open the airlock, and we will navigate Ethan into the first room. There's some scrap, and there's our power inlet. This is a very big room. Should be an open door. Yep, here we have an open door, some more scrap, and another power inlet. So we have our choice. We'll go ahead and do a gather. And we'll go ahead and navigate Twiki into room 2 and start the generator. So between these 2 generators, we will have access to different parts of the ship, and we'll go ahead and navigate Ethan back into room 2 to use the gather upgrade to get that scrap. So again, we have this problem where Twiki has blocked Ethan. There we go. That's one of the reasons, like I said, I like to manipulate the drones directly sometimes when they're setting up for the interface or the generator. Okay, so now what we want to do is run the motion detector to see what's happening in R4 and R5. Okay, so our first real challenge here, we have an infection in room 5. Room 4 is clear. So best course of action, as I see it, is to go ahead and look in room 4, clear it, and then allow room 4 to contain the infection by moving the reinfection from room 5 into room 4. So I'll go ahead and open door 4, and I will navigate drone 1 to R4. Now the motion detector stops working when the drone using it is in motion. So let's do gather all. Goes for the fuel first. Some more propulsion fuel. And now the scrap. Okay, so there is a door 3 there, but we don't know what's on the other side of it. And one way to see what's on the other side of it would be to move our generator into room 3 and attach to that power input. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so it's on its way in, and then hopefully once that power inlet is powered, we'll see the rest of the ship. Okay, so there's another airlock, and there's a room 6. We'll go ahead and use the motion detector again on drone 1. Great, so the infection is only in room 5, which means that we can bypass room 5, explore room 6 by opening D3. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then when we're ready, we will open D7, and that will allow us to explore room 5 once the infection, the hostile in room 5 has moved into room 6. So let's go ahead and navigate 1 to R6. Gather what we can. Now we could at this point move our dropship from the current dock and redock it at that dock 2, A2. And that might be something we consider in the future, but for now I don't see a reason to do it. Okay. Let's just make sure we got that fuel. I believe we did, but let's just double check. Okay, still displays as a fuel, so okay, still displays as a fuel icon. That's why I thought maybe I had missed it somehow. So I'm going to close door 3. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the motion detector, and I'm going to open door 7. Now, once the infestation has moved into room 6, I'll close door 7. Now it's trapped there. I could, if I needed to, if there was a reason to do so, or a benefit to doing so, I could open airlock 2, which would destroy the infestation and anything in room 6. But doing so also begins to cause some things like you'll get radiation leakage in that room, and that actually sets in motion other things that destroy the entire ship. And there's no reason not to do it, but there's also no reason to do it, because I have everything I need, and now at this point all I really want to do is bring my drones back back to, well, that's not quite true. We haven't explored room 5 yet, so let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to navigate drone 1 to room 3. We can explore room 5, and then we'll be done. And again, we don't need to destroy the infestation by opening the airlock. I believe the blue line you see around the room, if you don't have your eyes closed at this point, that indicates a force field or something that prevents damage to the hull. So I'm not sure exactly what the implications of that are just right now, but that's my understanding. Okay, so let's navigate drone 1 into room 5 and just make sure we have everything we can get out of this ship. Hey, there is a drone there, and my guess is that because it's yellow, it will be towable. So let's just preemptively navigate drone 3 to room 5. Okay, let's check on the info. Let's do info 1. So there's a drone called Marvin. Let's take a look. There's Marvin. So what we'll do is I will issue the command to Kelly, tow 3. So now Marvin is being towed, and I can move all of my drones back into the dropship. But I'm going to start with Marvin and Twiki, because if I try to tow another drone and they're all moving together, they will get stuck in the doors, and generally there'll be some need to untangle things. Okay, now I can navigate Kelly into the dropship. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and move these guys further in to make room. And you can see Kelly has brought Marvin with her, and we will go ahead and close the airlock. And we will return to the mothership. Alright, we collected 1 item of fuel for the system level and 6 pieces of scrap. So we are now at 20 scrap, and we have a new drone, Marvin. So we'll go ahead and take a look at Marvin. Let's take a look at the drone configuration. So Marvin has the tow upgrade and a shield. So a shield is great if you have an infection that fires projectiles, or in a situation where you might need to have a drone in a room with a defensive turret. I imagine. Again, I've never used the shield. Marvin has 130 hit points, which is great. Hopefully in the future we can add a gather upgrade to Marvin, and Marvin and Ethan can in tandem go and collect scrap and explore the ship. But for now we need to repair Marvin. So let's see how much we can do with the 20 pieces of scrap we have. I'll go into the modifications. I will select Marvin, and I see that I will need 13 pieces of scrap. That's more than half to fully repair Marvin. Now, I believe that this is probably fine for now. Again, we don't have an immediate need for scrap. None of our systems or upgrades require repair, but in general, I like to hang on to my scrap. Now, one of the other options we have as we recover more drones is to convert these drones into scrap. I believe you get more scrap if they are fully functional and have full health. But in this case, we could either spend 13 scrap to fully repair Marvin, or we could receive 7 more scrap to convert him to scrap. So we would have 27 scrap as opposed to 7 scrap remaining. Since again we're very early in the game, I will go ahead and choose to fully repair. So I'm going to hit enter, and I will execute that command. And now we have 7 scrap, and we have a 4th drone. So let's go back, take a look at our drones, and what we want to do is we want to add Marvin. So I want to make sure I remember how to do this. Swap drones, control plus left and right. So there we go. We've moved Marvin into our boarding drone party. So my understanding is that the shield is likely to fail. Yes, the failure probability of the shield is already at 15.21%, having been used in 3 missions. Now, this isn't great, but I don't really have a need for that shield right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move that shield into our inventory, and why don't we bring something that is potentially useful into the Marvin drone. I thought Pry might be fun, but that's really only for opening doors that aren't powered, and I don't see a use for that just yet. And actually, I don't really see a use for any of these just yet. Maybe as we move further along, but for now, I'll leave that slot open so that if needed, Marvin can go in and swap out 2 upgrades from a destroyed drone. Okay. Great. So there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this session for now, and I will be back. We'll pick up where we left off with our trusty 4 drones on the Justice Rider, and we will move on to explore the Part 2, a barge type B ship. In the meantime, I hope you can enjoy your evening or day and find some rest. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.